Welcome to Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. Backed by popular demand is the intrepid Drake Bailey for another question and answer session. You may want to make some popcorn and buckle your seatbelt. This one will be another wild ride. Here is your host Gail of Gaia with her guest Drake Bailey.
There it is.
There it is. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail Gaia, and this is Free Range, and it's our weekly discussion with Drake Bailey. And let's find out what kind of updates he might have for us this week. It's been a rather busy week with the president, I think.
Yeah, and everybody in Washington, D.C. and other places of knowledge have been laughing in the face of all the horse hockey. The one of the legal experts, Judge Napolitano, got put in the toilet by a true legal expert in terms of his lack of knowledge. There's and then today at the hearings, the acting intelligence secretary stipulated that if they want to really get conclusive answers, he's not the one to ask. Well, they're telling him that he's supposed to go against the president in his testimony, and the problem with that is that not only would he probably lose his job, but it makes him liable for breach of national security. Ooh.
Yeah, I would call that a pretty serious thing.
Yeah, they're trying to get him to hang everybody, and he ain't doing it. Or didn't do it, put it that way. And then you have the man with that was the presidential advisor to the campaign. They tried to play games with him, and he showed the Democrats what it feels like to be on the short end of a do-si-do. He flipped them around backwards, upside down, everywhere but loose, which was very refreshing. They don't want to put somebody like me on for the simple fact that I'll ask them what part of no don't they understand. Have they bothered to smell what they're shoveling, and little things like that. Maybe their nose needs to be rubbed in what they're shoveling. Well,
seriously.
The seriousness of it, they don't realize the seriousness of the frivolity. When they get under frivolous lawsuit, it gets a lot more serious from state to federal level. Okay, when you perpetrate an attack on the office of the president, that comes under insurrection treason charges, and it's mandatory 2 to 10, heavy fines and all kind of nice things. Personally, I would have already been arresting these dinks, people that think it's funny to play games with federal law and things of that nature. Now, Napolitano stepped in it. He didn't know what he was talking about. Obviously, the guy that they had on Tucker Carlson did. He's done he's done more than Napolitano ever thought of. Now, one of the things about Napolitano was that he wanted to be put on the Supreme Court, and he didn't even get considered, and he's pissed. So imagine where that goes. Oh, well, if I misquote the law, nobody will know. Tucker Carlson got a legal expert on there who had been in charge of a lot of investigations at different levels and whatnot, who had run varying offices that deal with the law that Napolitano misquoted.
Okay.
You got a dog biting you?
Yeah, unfortunately. Sorry about that. I should have locked him up.
Hey, teething toys for babies work with dogs. A lot of people don't know that.
The what?
You get a teething toy.
Oh yeah, well they got a bunch of them. They like to chew on my toes instead. But anyway.
Rub some of that toe cheese off on the thing, on the chew toys. Maybe that's what it needs.
Yeah, really. Okay. Well, one of the things that I was thinking, and we discussed it just a wee bit, it would be really nice if some of these guys would just get arrested.
Yeah. But like I say, Barr and other people have plenty of evidence. Why they are not initiating it kind of leaves me wondering what side they're on and what their political and personal intent is, and a bunch of things.
Exactly.
Now, it could be. Now, this is a possibility that Trump's been requesting that Attorney General Barr kind of hold up just a little bit. I don't know what the reason for that would be, but if it was me, I'd play trick or treat on Halloween and show up with the mirrored shades and hey boy, you're in a heap of trouble. Come on, leave.
Well, one of the things is if it was anybody else, if it was anyone else, they arrest them before they even have all the evidence.
Well, didn't you hear about the whistleblower?
Which one? No.
The one on the impeachment thing, the phone call.
Oh, no. Tell me about it, because I've been very busy with some other personal.
He wasn't listening to the phone call, so he's got no idea what the content was. So how the hell would he know? Okay, then he's anonymous, and the Dems now are trying to say that somebody needs to turn over the whistleblower. Well, it depends on who it is. And my suspicion is that it's an undercover Democrat in the White House. What's funny, further funny, Trump said he was going to release the text, which he did, and now the Dems are saying that it was ponied up, that they adjusted it.
Oh my God! I wouldn't doubt that one bit.
That's that. Well, this is the fun part about it, is that if the White House is accused of such a thing, that is a direct attack on the office of the president. You talking about some serious time. That starts 10 and goes to life for that sort of deal. Why they have not tried to issue an international arrest warrant for George Soros and others who think it's fun to play games with our freedom, I don't know.
I don't know either. It's kind of disturbing that it's taken so long to arrest these people.
Yeah.
It's going on and on.
Germany has a special police force that goes around and does a number on people that act like these people have done. And I mean, whatever it takes, crack a skull, put you in chains or crack a skull or whatever. They give you an option to leave the country. That's how serious it is. And the frivolity laws, specifically dealing with this sort of thing, they carry expulsion. You can be exiled from the United States, lose your citizenship and all rights.
Well, some people, I think they should.
Yeah, well, they only have to do it to one. Pick the noisiest, what's the squeakiest wheel? Well, they're already got her under investigation. She's one of the Fab Four. And I got kicked off Facebook for 30 days because I said she was a rag-headed camel jockey, which, here's the thing about turbans, okay? For men only, you wear a single layer turban. That's the dress turban, okay? If you are piloting camels, you wear the bulky one, all right?
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, women are not allowed to wear a turban unless they are riding a camel. Now you get all these green deals and all this other happy whatever. Are you falling off the chair?
No, I'm fine. Don't let me disturb you. Keep going.
The interesting part about this is that the investigation has 4 different fronts. One of the main ones is that she likes to go and provide material support to our proclaimed enemies. Is ISIS. Okay, why the hell is she not in jail? I mean, there's questions I've got that, were it me and you gave me some authority? Oh my goodness, you talk about stirring the pot. You talk about busting bubbles. Schumer, Pelosi, there's a whole long list of names of people who have impinged upon the correct conductance of government business. So,
well, who will do the actual arresting anyway? That's what I'd like to know. And
well,
why?
it would have to be on the order of the Justice Department, and it probably would involve a large number or load of federal marshals. Now, I have offered that there are multiple militia groups, some within other militias. They don't even, it doesn't show anywhere that they exist. They're ready. They're more than ready. They are some of the ones that I've stipulated are ready to start Civil War number 2 against the Democrats. If that sort of thing started, there'd be it's going to be nasty. I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, if something needs to be done, they need to stop dragging their feet. They've been dragging their feet about these arrests way too long.
Yeah, well, I'm going to start some things with a friend of mine. Hopefully, I'll get a call tonight, and if I don't, I'll bug the person until they answer. But the thing about it is that this person is situated in such a manner that things that might be suggested can be run up a flagpole, so to speak. And several of the things that I have stipulated have reached President Trump. So I know that there's a lot of communication there. What I want to see is simply taking all the horse hockey out of it, so that we can get something done. There hasn't been any legislation in the House. None. It's all get Trump, one way or the other.
It's disgusting. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life, and I'm, not a chicken, so to speak. And yeah.
So anyway, the gist of it is very simple. When we start taking care of business on a realistic basis, such as arrests, removing crooks, giving people confidence and trust back in terms of what we are going to do, then ET will start helping. I'm talking about direct help, not, they're up there, but they like to keep things secret. They think it's hilarious that there's no proof that they even exist. And they're up there going, hi.
Well, I would sure love to see their assistance happen, but I can understand why, it's one of those things where, what is that saying goes? I hate to say this. I can't say this. I guess I could say it online, but it's like, da-da-da, or get off the pot,
Yeah. Well, you can use expletive deletables, certain types. There's certain types you can't. We have over 20 so-called retreats, and they are Muslim religious retreats. The only problem is they're practicing with AK-47. So I see that as a direct effrontery and misuse of our freedoms against us as a proclaimed enemy. Consequently, hey, guess what? We can go do what we want to with you. I've invited a variety of militias. These are militias within a militia. The official militia doesn't know that these groups exist within their ranks, but
kind of like a special forces type thing within that.
Yeah, no, it's more than that. This is something where they're looking at actually taking anything that kills and having a party for one of these people, one of these groups, in terms of wiping them out and getting a video of them laying there dead holding their AK.
Now, AK-47, what does that have to do with any religion? Absolutely nothing. That is all crap.
The Russian religion says that freedom comes from the barrel of a gun. You get the picture?
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so ET is assisting in ways that can't be seen right now, but will be seen shortly, from what I hear.
I sure hope so. We need to see some action here. I'm tired of all the talk. They need to do some action. The Department of Justice is dragging their feet big time.
Among other things that ain't right.
Exactly. Okay, well, anything else we should cover?
There's a bunch of things coming, but they ain't here well enough for me to cover them. If I cover them, it might screw it up, so I'm not going to say anything on that part of it anyway. Okay. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, we can.
Everything's ready to go pretty much. As I said, ET is waiting for us to start initiating house cleaning so that they feel confident that they can be safe in some areas. They're going to be bringing care packages like a replicator, that sort of thing. So, you won't have to buy dog food or whatever. Simple stuff. We'll see how it goes.
And people so much need it. I mean, people are getting hit in all kinds of different directions, and it's really, we need help.
Yeah.
The Democrats are demonized.
Well, we got to help ourselves to a great extent. It's our mess. We're the ones that screwed it up.
Exactly.
We don't do anything. So consequently, everybody has a certain amount of guilt to bear. Right. I've been on the radio trying to get people to elicit a response. We'll see how it goes.
It's one of those things where it reminds me of what President Kennedy once said. Ask not what you can do, what the country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Because right now, our country needs us, and everybody needs to do something.
Yeah.
I'm serious. As a heart attack.
The problem is that the oligarchs sit in their ivory tower and they laugh at it. They think it's amusing. So, we'll have to reallocate the power bases. In other words, just because you're wealthy or you own Facebook or whatever does not mean that the entity you work for, let alone yourself, gets to do anything they feel like. So I got a bunch of research I got to do, primarily on legal standings that will give us some kind of power, possibly. We'll see how it goes. If it works the way I think it will, then we're going to have some very interesting court cases coming up.
Good. It's just like I feel like sometimes, people have such great expectations of you as well. And it's like, well, I'm thinking, well, what are you doing to help? You want everybody else to do it all for you. It's time to step up.
This is something that goes to the basis in society. In the 50s, it became the convenience society. The housewife wore a nice dress and did the housework with her brand new Kirby cleaner and her brand new stove and refrigerator. Okay, all that. Mm-hmm. After things got going, now that was just the basis, the beginning. After things got going, we became a truly convenience-oriented society. The throwaway generation. It broke. I ain't fixing that. Get another one. And that created a lot of problems. However, the main problem that's been created doesn't have anything to do with those parts of the direction people want to go. It has everything to do with the simplicity of the basis for the society you're involved in. And right now, the basis for that is free stuff. I want my college paid for. I want this. I want that. Okay. The liberal ideology of welfare, chicken in every pot and all that happy stuff, has basically broken the back of the American spirit in terms of we can do anything. Just chug right on through. The problem with that is now you're going to find Mr. Chuggy sitting on the couch watching his soap operas instead of doing something. So these things have to be rectified. Yeah. And at this point, they're not even being addressed. Now, what we have, I'm going to give you a little financial advice. You love this one. The whole thing's about to fall over. I have stressed for a few years now, prepare yourself. You need food, water, shelter, and a gun. You're going to need a gun. like it or not, you may have to shoot somebody you even know to keep your ability to eat. Now, that does not necessarily mean you won't be able to share with other people. And many people that I know that I have advised to get ready have done that under disastrous circumstances. Here's the problem. I have stipulated for quite a while that the whole of the financial system is designed to fail. The reason it's designed to fail, kinesia is not the problem. The problem is that they took Keynesian economics and went from equity to debt. So now you have the problem of a debt that is so consumptive that it's eating central banks and countries for breakfast. When these countries start falling over or their financial system fails, and I'm talking about in the toilet fail, we're going to be included. We get to play too. So you need to have, you need to have food, water, some means of preparation, be that a grill. You can boil water on a grill. If you can heat water up on a grill, you can fry, you can bake things. I mean, whatever. The problems that we're going to experience is the poor dummies that live in cities. And I mean downtown, high rise, whatever, whatever.
Apartment buildings with
90%. Yeah, but the thing is that 90% of these people don't know how to grow turnips or anything else. They don't know how to raise livestock. This is one of the reasons I'm where I am. There's plenty of livestock, plenty of critters in the woods, and plenty of woods if I need to cut down some trees to stay warm. I got a wood burner, but the thing is that in today's society, the generation that should be preparing for these great changes has not done anything to do so, because the grind, the slugging and fighting and climbing up the hill is so intense that taking your disposable income and blowing it on a party or whatever has become the thing. They're not holding on to things of value. Then you have the student debt preventing them from buying cars and real estate and things of this nature. So the combination of those things are going to produce an extraordinarily large number of people who don't have a clue even where their food comes from, let alone how.
That's definitely true. I can see that. But I also see the problem that over the years, when one person used to be able to be a breadwinner, so to speak, and go out and work, and the wife could stay home and use some of these conveniences and make a nice home and plan things for children and so on, so they'd be well taken care of. That all changed too. That changed to a society where two incomes were needed just to pay the rent and buy food. And so that's created a lot of problems for people.
Yeah, well, that's called corporatocracy.
Okay. Yeah.
A bunch of people, well, they locate in a certain area. They get a bunch of people that can afford $2-3 grand a month rent. And when somebody, when you double the rent on somebody who can't afford or can just barely afford the one they got, they have to leave. Okay, when they leave, Mr. Moneybags moves in. Bingo. Okay, and that is a form of acceptance of that which cannot stand on its own. A house built on sand doesn't stand very well. Okay, that ideology comes through to the little timer. You remember, called an hourglass, and the sand run through. Well, guess what? The sand's just about run out.
You know, I heard, Drake, I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe you know something about it. I heard that they have recently given, I don't know if it's Chase Bank or some of the banks, $75 billion. So yes. Where did that come from?
They got printing presses.
Why do they get? Yeah, why do they get the money? And you know, if you tried to print some money, you'd be in jail.
Well, this is what I'm trying to tell you is they don't get money. Okay, you go and get a mortgage. You don't see cash.
Yeah.
Okay, you see numbers on a computer screen. Okay, those don't have. They got less value than the paper the money's made on. So the problem has become the debt load, and the debt load is eating our lunch, and we don't have very long before it falls over.
Drake, I need to take a little minute break here. This is from my son, and I need to take it.
Okay.
We can break and come back. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. We had to take a little pause for a minute, and we're back on, and we'll try to get back to where we started, which I'm not exactly sure of. We can start with the questions if you'd like.
That's fine. That works.
Alrighty. One of the first questions that I have is, what, if anything, will be expected of China to make up for all their manipulations in technology and intellectual property theft?
You're not going to get a payback on your taxes that you paid on stuff that was illegally garnered either. So don't expect anything from China. The only thing that is expected from China is simply a level playing field without the horse hockey requirements of giving up the ghost in the process of doing business in China. There are several companies right now that are heavy hitters here in the States as well as worldwide who are doing business in China. My question is, were they given an exemption or giving up their intellectual property or what? That would be the question I would want to ask of technologies, etc. Okay.
Okay. Is there no way to get through this group that wants to do a convention of states? Most of them seem like patriots, even if they're misguided. And since a lot of them are famous and or in the media, they could be good allies.
No, it's not good. And the reason it isn't is because they stipulate a combination of things. One of those is doing away with the Second Amendment. One of those is severely limiting the First Amendment. Number 3 is a rewrite of all the rest of it to fit their particular socialist ideologies. And so therefore I stipulate no.
I see why. Okay. I have asked about what the military intends to do about themselves to prevent the current situation from ever happening again. And while punishment for current traitors is great, I've been expecting that based on your statement and those of QAnon. What I really want to know is what the military intends to do about the future.
Okay, the future of the military is going to be changed into more or less a social club. Well, we have a lot of really great heavy-hitting technology. We have a lot of weapons that can be used. And we also have the capability, as an example, some of our ships have docked in areas where there is extreme need for food and water and medical assistance and things of that nature. And one of them that I know of is has over 1,800 patients on board now being treated. Whether we are in the islands that got hit so heavy and so hard, I don't know yet. But there are a number of plans that are easily implemented. Don't take much in the way of material. All you need is a door and a couple of windows and a shipping container. And you can you can plop a house down wherever it might be needed. This will save the time and trouble, a lot of the time and trouble in terms of playing games with trailers and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those shipping containers can be quite versatile, can't they?
Well, an aircraft carrier actually desalinates seawater and uses it as fresh water for the sailors. So if they can do that, on board, which they do regularly, they can also do it off board or on land. All they do is either take one of the desalination systems and park it on land or run a pipe.
Wouldn't it be amazing to have our military going around and helping instead of pillaging?
Yeah.
That would be pretty awesome. But let's see. Okay. Okay. After the question about the military of the future, then it says, let's be honest, if incarceration or execution were an effective enough deterrent, we wouldn't be in this mess and we wouldn't have prisons stuffed with criminals. The military needs to have a governmental watchdog division of JAGs that keeps a close eye on things like Congress and the judicial and the executive branches so that they can act as soon as possible and snatch them off the bench in that moment. They wouldn't be like the political officer from the Hunt for Red October, only they would be loyal to the Constitution, not a political party.
Right. So yeah, all of they're not okay. We're not going to impose anything on anybody. That's not the idea. The idea is simply food and water, maybe some clothes, possible temporary shelters, which an aircraft carrier has an abundance of. I mean, these things can be simply shared, which they have been in many cases. If I were a country that was devastated or flattened like some of the islands were, any help would be appreciated. And, you can at the same time supply what a lot of people consider humanitarian needs. You can take care of those humanitarian needs: food, water, shelter, dry spot to put the tent up in. I mean, there's a bunch of things go in it.
Yeah, one of the things that I think about now too is that our military is supposed to protect us against foreign and domestic enemies, and it seems like we have an awful lot of domestic enemies trying to take this country down.
Well, and, I'm going to try to initiate some things tonight when I if I can get a hold of my friend. We'll see how it goes.
I feel pretty strongly about that.
There's a lot of people that don't feel lonesome.
But okay. ETs are allowed to mess with our DNA, our minds, and our society because they created us at the direction of the Creator. With a question mark, that is. Why do we have rights and autonomy over our own bodies and society like they do? Why don't we?
Actually, we do. When somebody or something comes up and offers you to be as strong as the Hulk or some such, or bulletproof or whatever they're offering, you have the decision. The decision is simple: yes or no. And if you do not, wish to have implants or whatever they're offering, and you say no, then they have to go up against all the power of the forces of creation, and they don't want to be in that position, believe me. So when you tell an entity no, it's pretty ironclad. Most of the ETs are very well aware, even the bad guys, pirates, whatever you want to call them, are very aware of this. And this is the if some of these turkeys believe that they can overstep the bounds of free will, that needs to be reported, and any individual can report that instantly. They're after me. Help. Okay.
Yeah, really.
And what's funny is it's not strictly the Creator that does this, but there is a rather large group of military types who don't take kindly to that and will stomp out anything that stipulates it. So, you get rid of several problems all at the same time. Generally, and this is a neat rule of thumb, you come across something, no matter what it is, your first thought is in compliance with what the Creator had in mind for you to think to begin with. It's called conscience in some places. You're a still small voice. Don't step on that. What's wrong with you? Well, woolly worm going across the sidewalk is not something that you're supposed to get on your shoe just because you can. Think about what would happen to us if the Creator decided we were horse hockey and needed to, go in a manure pile. That don't sound You know, I want, there's certain entities I won't piss off no matter what, the creator being one of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to, yeah, I would not want to piss off the creator.
Yeah.
Definitely. Very important. And I think our responsibility is to co-create with the creator good things that are good for everyone.
Yeah, well, that all of this stuff has to come up in the near future for two reasons. Society is beginning to collapse, and I'm going to cover that on my show. But the ideology happened in every country that I'm aware of at one point or another. The poor were such a burden and outnumbered the officials so greatly that they took over. That's what happened to the Roman Empire, as an example. What happened to the Egyptians, the Aztec? You know, you can go through all of this stuff, and if you really look, you'll find that there were great insurrections by true patriots to the people, not to a government. Government is supposed to implement the law of God, and it does that through constitutions and laws and proper actions and things like this. And these things have not been taken by anybody anywhere on the planet. Trump is setting it up so that we can start the ball rolling. So this is one of the reasons that I can overlook his shortcomings. A whole bunch of things that Trump does that I really don't like the way he does it. I like what he's doing, but I don't like the way he's, you know, hey, looky here, you father mucker. You know, straighten up, act right, or the United States is going to do you, you know, well, no. He refrained from doing that, or he could have. That differential in policy is why John Bolton's gone. He wanted to, and Trump said, no, it might be more fun to do it the other way, make them suffer for a while at least. And as an example, the sanctions on Iran, they're crippling. They did a full sanction against the Iranian Central Bank. That means that whatever they got in their country, that's all they got. They cannot go outside their country, period. Now, there is a coalition that's been built, and this has been mentioned sporadically, like onesie twosie maybe, on differing news programs. And basically, the coalition wants to stomp them out. The only thing holding them back is that Trump stipulated to the prince of Saudi Arabia, be very careful how you orchestrate what you're looking to do. There are a lot of ways that you can get the message across without doing the whole world or innocent people irreparable damage or death or whatever. What would happen if every time they tried to ship oil, whether it's air, land, or sea, it got interdicted and snatched? They were told not to sell it, they couldn't sell our oil, but they're doing it anyway. Okay, well, maybe it's time we interdict it. Maybe it's time to, and I'm not talking about the U.S. This is what's interesting. We're in the background. We're standing away from this. We don't need another never-ending war situation.
And why are they starving and killing so many Yemens?
So many Yemen?
Yemen.
Very simple. They're in the way. They want the land, and they got the power to take it.
Well, that's pretty disgusting.
Well,
That's how the poor always get exploited, isn't it?
it's nothing different than the right to conquest that the pilgrims here in the States used against the indigenous Indians.
Indians, yeah.
I mean, you know, it's the same.
Is that right, ever?
Well, the thing about it is it's been going on for quite a long time. All of that sort of thing is getting ready to be put, and forcibly if necessary, by the wayside. No, you don't get to conquer. People who have tried it failed. I believe there was I believe Kuwait was taken by one of these Turkeys that felt that he could do this, and he did. He couldn't. He came up against the brunt of a coalition of military force far superior to his, and they wiped him and his armies out. Now, the thing about it is he was And if they'd been smart, he was keeping a lid on all that. Look at Gaddafi. He was keeping a lid on things right up to the point where he said he was going to make his country economically sovereign. Oh, that means all the banks, everybody got cut out, couldn't steal no more money from him. Ooh, I mean, so
They
he's,
killed him.
yeah, in effect, it's a indirect murder. They used to have a murder for hire group that did the same sort of stuff. In Germany, they're all up in arms because some extreme and extraordinarily ridiculous right wingers, somebody pulled a trigger on one of their politicians, dropped that boy, blew his brains out on the sidewalk. Well, here's the problem that that people here in the States are not aware of. We haven't had a real terrorist attack. 9/11 was an inside job that was sanctioned, that was approved by the officials. Same way with the, what is it? The boat? I can't think of the name of it.
USS Liberty? No.
Yeah, that's it. U.S. Liberty. Israel was going after that boat so that they could say that the Arabs did it and garner world approval of a war against Arabia. Well, it didn't work. So they found out the people survived. The boat didn't sink. So when you find these kinds of things, you have to find out who did it. That's where the key lies. Once you find out who did it, or who authorized it, or who had the explosive experts from Mossad come in and place all those cutters on the buildings. I mean, you got one date. She's saying all the buildings got knocked down, and building 3 behind her. Then it goes in a straight line. Now, if something gets blown over, it falls over. It doesn't just go in a straight. That was controlled demolition, as everybody knows, just like the other buildings. Jet fuel is diesel fuel. It ain't hot enough to cut pieces and chunks out of steel I-beams. Oh, it might just go there.
And then there was a gold heist, and then there was a guy, Silverstein or whatever his name was, that took out insurance just before this all happened. And
well, you had a bunch of other people, and I mean a large number of them, shorted all the airline stocks, said that they were going down. They're still rising, they're going down. On 9/11, they did, right in the toilet. Oh, those people made tons of money. Well, what's the driver? The ideology was that if this sort of thing took place, that the American people would rise up like we did when we got dumped on in World War II. Ooh, on December 7th, 1941. Well, yeah, okay. Then you have to understand a month, 30 days before the Japanese surrender, we dropped an atomic bomb. They were screaming for surrender after that. So what do? We turn around and did it again. America is the only country on the planet in modern day history that has used atomic weapons. There should be accountability. I mean, there's a whole bunch of that needs to take place, but you have to understand that the crooks that would do something of that nature are now hiding as high-level people in industry. I have used the word corporatocracy before. Well, there you go, and it's almost a religion to these people. Oh, the bottom line rules. Yeah, well,
the psychopaths. I'm sorry.
Well, you got another thing out there in terms of psychopaths too. These mass murderers. All they got to do is tell Facebook and Google and the email people, we need copies of anybody that visits these sites, talks about mass murderers, has a criminal history of that sort of violence. We want to know all about them. We want to know what color underwear they got. I mean, everything. And in that way, all of this spying on us, and it's illegal. but it's there and they can't stop it. It's going too far. Okay. Maybe all that spying and whatnot on us, maybe those algorithms that pick up your interests, maybe the same sorts of things that you would get thrown off of Facebook. I'm in Facebook jail for another week or something like that because I called a certain person a rag-headed camel jockey, and yet you allow mass shootings.
And it was a truthful statement.
Well, what they need to do is leave Channel 8 up. Don't screw with Gab. Allow these people to have their white supremacist websites. All you got to do is simply use the same tools that Facebook, Amazon, and these others use, and you can not only tell what color underwear, which leg they put in first. I mean, what type and color and model of transportation is about, what weapons they may have availability to. The whole line. Then each and every last one of them posted online, I'm going to go kill everybody. Well, what the hell? We'll grab the dude. It's not difficult. You want to stop mass murder? There it is.
Yeah, it's funny because you can say something on, if there's something you want to purchase or you're looking for some, even if you say so on the phone, all of a sudden you're seeing all these ads.
Yeah, they pop up. Mm-hmm.
Like, what are they listening to everything I say or what?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody that goes online is being tracked. Not just onesie, twosie, everybody. It don't matter if you're the president of the United States or who you might think you are. They're tracking you. They want to sell you some more underwear or whatever it is you look for.
Yeah, going, wow, how do you like this? I've heard other people have said that to me too, so it's very common. And so I can see how what you're saying is
well, I'm going to make some official suggestions through a friend of mine and see whether or not we can't get this thing running. I've heard from a whole bunch of different people, Guns Magazine's one, that they thought it was a brilliant idea. Hey, that sounds great. Let's do it. I said, I'll see what I can do. Now I have to wait when I say something like this a couple of days. That was in an email, and I'm sure people have read it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is see whether or not I can't make sure that it gets implemented. If we implement that, you can expect to have 0 mass shootings from now on, and that's what I'm looking for. You don't need that crap.
You think everybody would have had a trail of some sort that would indicate that?
Well, generally they visit places that like 8 Channel or they say things on Gab or whatever. And on Facebook, and Facebook wants to tell me that I'm fomenting hate speech because I called a spade. Okay, but you allow the other stuff to go on. You support Muslim sites that have the enemy of the United States, our existence. So all of these things,
they're obviously very biased.
Okay, well, maybe we can track some of the dinks out there that are nutcases that shouldn't have a slingshot, let alone a firearm. Find out what's going on, catch them before they land. Anyway, what's our next question?
Okay. Okay, here's the next question. Wait a minute. I guess there was some more to this other. Okay, why do we not? Oh, we already answered that one. Are we in fact just slaves, food and loosh factories like cattle, put here for their uses and amusement? Will we ever be free of this horror show? Because I must say that I am not cool with this arrangement. I don't care about the initiating circumstances. We are not cows. We are people, just like ETs are people. If that is all they want from us, why didn't they just leave us as trainable apes? Well,
well, there are very few groups around anymore that eat people. So
they were removed.
Well, so what you have to understand is, myself and others have taken it upon ourselves to eliminate, eradicate, and thoroughly discourage their ever coming here again. The ones who just simply take you and do stuff to you in whatever medical level they might be doing it, they're also prohibited now from doing so. Consequently, we have been relegated to, we might be low level, sentient beings that have a mind of our own, will of our own, and the fact that we know the difference between right and wrong. There's a lot of people out there that would that fall down and worship the almighty dollar, the love of money being the root of all evil. Well, oops, the bottom line is the only thing that counts. We don't care about everything else. This is Facebook. All Facebook looks at is cool, more customers. Cool, you want to buy something, don't you? And all of this sort of thing starts permeating. Now, the main problem is that too many people are going along with it. So,
well, I know for a fact too that, just as an example of what you're saying, with pharmaceutical companies coming out with certain drugs, they will know that it will kill so many people, but they figure out how far it's got to go before they'll have to have it taken off the market. But in the meantime, they're able to make this much money along the way, and they're okay with that.
Yeah, well, if you kill 50 people and you make a couple $100 million, that works.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's disgusting.
Well,
disgusting. But anyway, okay. How does the government get away not enforcing laws? Why bother passing them in the first place?
How about we start enforcing the laws against the government?
Exactly. Thank you for that.
Now, what you got to do is anybody that violates your constitutional rights or misuses the law is subject to prosecution, to include judges, prosecutors, lawyers, they're just people like you and me. Okay, now, somebody can misadjudicate a law. That would be a judge or whatever.
They're really administrators.
Yeah, well, but that happens. And I can understand a mistake as long as it's retracted and the ruling changed. But too many decide that they're some kind of little righteous God,
yes.
Hitler, or however they view themselves, and they say, this is absolute. I'm a judge, and that's the law, and you don't like it? Tough. Napolitano come off with a whole bunch of happy horse hockey the same way. And Tucker Carlson had a true legalist on his show that refuted him. He said Napolitano was a fool. The boy needs educated. He doesn't know the law, obviously. He wouldn't say what he said. So
they turn to pompous, arrogant buttheads is what happens.
Yeah, well, he said something similar to that, too. I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah, okay. Since we are special among ET, and Earth is the keystone of the universe, what would have happened to the universe if we weren't able to transition like the civilizations before us?
It's not so much a question of that. The thing is that if we do not transition, this is one of our last chances. The opportunity isn't only going to come around so many times, and then you really got a long period of time. If we miss this one, 25920 years, we'll try again. Okay. If we start actually administrating the law to everybody, no matter what, where you at, doesn't matter what office you hold, that sort of thing. You really, truly administer all of the law as it's written, and you'll find out real quick who's going to comply. You'll find out real quick who's paying attention. You'll find out real quick who knows something about the law.
Well, it just seems like we have a double standard that exists right now. It just look like all the rest that haven't happened, Yeah.
The miscarriage of justice is rampant, okay? These people do not care, literally do not care how much of a life is ruined or blood is shed in order for them to make their quota. Okay. Each and every last one of them is now subject to liabilities for screwing things up. Now, the thing about some cases I'm familiar with is that that evidence contrary to the charges was denied. Can't bring that in court. Oh, really? Why not? Maybe the judge in such a case needs to be added to the list of defendants.
Exactly.
Here's the deal about judges. If you make a constitutional challenge to their right to hold their seat for purposely misadministrating the law or applying it, as they know, illegally against somebody for whatever reason, they're subject to several things. First, during that adjudication, the period where it's decided if they're legitimate, okay, they're not allowed to sit on the judge's seat. They don't get paid. Ooh, I mean, it's decided what, depending on the legal question, it's decided whether or not that judge gets to ever sit in that seat again, or any other for that matter.
They should be able to.
Hold on a minute, I ain't done yet. Their license to practice law can be federally removed, federally repealed. What that means is they got to go outside the United States to Canada or Mexico or somewhere to practice law, if they'll let them in. So there's any number of things. Now, I'm not going to go into it, but there have been a number of judges, police departments, and others who have found out that the correct application of the law is critical to their existence.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave that just where it's at.
Yeah. We won't open that can of worms because it's a big can.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Will Hoover cars drive themselves?
Will hover cars drive themselves?
Yeah, those.
Yeah, primarily.
Autopilot, I guess.
Until you, let's see here. Until you pass the hover car test, the hover car drives itself. It's just a driving test. Can you parallel park an airplane? Don't know. I didn't know airplanes could fly backwards, but we'll give it a shot, you know. And that's part of the fun of it. An idiot that can't pay attention to where they're at on the road shouldn't be on the road. It's not difficult. Okay, well, until such time as they do pay attention, the hover car will drive itself. That means you can't go out partying. That means you can't go get groceries. I mean, just, all kinds of, all you get to do, get up in the morning, get yourself ready, go get in the hover car, and it takes you to work. I know that's a 4-letter word, but I had to get it in there somewhere. So
some people actually enjoy their work.
Yeah, well, then when you're done, it takes you back home. Period. You don't get to go, I wonder how fast this will go. Has it got altitude limits? Of course, you're going to have all kinds of limitations. But when you pass the proficiency test to operate a hover car, you probably won't want to have anything else. Those things are great fun, especially when the altitude limitation, well, think about the altitude limitation being extended slightly so that you can make it up over the hills and whatnot, and buildings and what all between you and work. Think about buzzing the office building of a friend. The fun just don't, and
it's so much fun.
The hover car, now here's the thing, the hover car has an AI system. It will determine if you're inebriated or intoxicated to the point where you shouldn't be in there anyway. However, it will take you home. Now it goes to your house and it settles on its blocks and it sits there. Whether you get her out of it or not, it don't care. You can be all squinchy-fied and sleeping on your standing on your head in the back seat. It doesn't. The car don't care. Whatever floats your boat. And if you go to work and what happened to you? I slept on my head last night in my hover car. and everybody's going to bust up laughing, thinking you're the butt of the joke. So,
Okay. Let's see. If there won't be any money in the future, how do we acquire things that are one of a kind, like art or an unreplicatable thing like sauerkraut or vodka? Somebody's worried about that. And bartering only goes so far when somebody wants something from someone but doesn't have anything the other person wants to trade for it. So how will that work?
Okay, imagine a credit card, and by that I mean you have credits on it. In other words, true intrinsic value X, however many you got, okay? 9 times out of 10, you're not going to need what you have on the card. So that gives you extras. You can transfer X amount of credits from your card to somebody else's card so you can get that funny looking lamp that everybody hated, okay? Or whatever it may be.
Whatever it is. Okay.
It's not difficult.
Cool. So there's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Oh, yeah.
That's been implemented to make it feasible. Okay. Yeah. If replicated foods might not be an exact replica, according to foodies, how trustworthy are its other creations like technology?
Well, there's a whole lot of people. Let's put it this way. There's one right that everybody exercises at one time or another. That's your inalienable right to bitch. You can complain about anything. You can say this, you can say that. Oh, it don't taste quite as good as grandma's. Take a glob of grandma's and stick it in there and say program. And it will be exactly what you put in there. Mm-hmm. Okay. They're going to, it was replicated. But well, if you sort of accidentally forget to mention the fact that it's replicated, what are they going to complain about? Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, kind of like the people that salt their food before they even taste it. They already know it's not salty enough. But anyway, yeah, I didn't well aware of that one. Okay, you said that in an instant we transition that everyone will receive downloads of information like the depth of the Obama's corruption. Will people who were his followers remember their former devotion to him so as to see how they were deceived, or will that be wiped from their minds? I don't see how that's very important personally.
Well, it is very important. You're going to remember what you remember right now. Just that simple, okay? The bad things or things that are anti-decency in civilization, you're going to, at first, you're going to be very ashamed. Well, don't worry about it. Those things are, first of all, past. Yes. And you're not allowed to screw with the past. You can go back there and look around, but you cannot screw with it. It's not allowed. Meaning that the first thing that you try to reach out and grab, poof, you're back to where you started from. And you may not be able to go back anymore because of your sticky fingers. I want that, The thing about being what you need to be transition-wise, flip the light switch, light comes on. You're going to remember the things that you have done, or you will be more conscious. Now, this does not mean absolutely fully aware of everything you've ever done, but that's possible. Thirdly, any of the things that you wish to rectify can be rectified from that moment that you recognize it forward. So I don't want to be that way. Come and go. You don't have to be. And that's how that works. Simple. It's not complicated.
Okay, next question. It doesn't seem fair for some people to have their homes paid off while others languish in apartments and such, especially those of us who have had a home and lost it when the bubble popped a few years back. Will those of us who rent our dwellings be offered similar assistance to purchase a home of our own, especially since other people are getting their homes paid off? Boy, I can really relate to that one.
There are a bunch of different possibilities in dealing with a place to live. First, all of the things that you're familiar with in terms of a place to live is going to change. You got new materials, you got new applications, et cetera. It goes on and on. In terms of your own place. This is neat. ET reads minds, in case anybody don't know that. They can tell what it is that you would like. Almost everybody wants a decent place, whether it's a high rise or an apartment or a house with a nice little picket fence so the doggies can run around in the yard or whatever. Okay, these things can be made allowable, but here's the deal: your house ain't gonna be huge. It's not going to be gigantic. Now, it may have multiple rooms, but those rooms will have a defined purpose rather than something that's just there. You won't need closets. That's going to free up a lot of room. You're not going to need a refrigerator, or a stove. I mean, you punch you punch in T-bone steak with a baked potato, and that's what you get, and it's hot, steaming, ready to eat. So the changes that are coming are going to be tremendous. We will not require hardly any of the energies or energy of different types, whether it's electricity, such as what we're using right now, or fuels of any kind, for us to exist in a decent manner. That stuff stops. Why does it stop? Well, all you have to do is do some research on the NASA website about an atomic battery. Let's say the ones that we have capable now, they're kind of large or clunky. I don't consider them real safe, but they're all right. They last for like 50 years. Well, what's the output? Okay, that's the other part. ET has found out how to take singular cells of a battery, D cell or whatever size you got, and combine them into a very small space. So what will happen is your replicator can be hooked to your electrical and operate the whole friggin' house for something like 100 and some years. Think about it, as well as replicating and all this other stuff it does. So interesting part about the changes coming is that we're going to have to adjust, and it's going to be a pretty tremendous adjustment.
Yeah. There's so many things we won't be used to, but they sound like wonderful changes.
Wait till people figure out that they can walk through walls and doors.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. People worry about privacy today. It's like that dumb commercial. The pillow man shows up in the guy's medicine cabinet. He better never do that to me. I open the thing and the guy's standing there and I said, dude, get out of my bathroom and close the door. And then I count to 10. Well, I open that door up. You better not be there. I'm going to pull my gun out and start shooting at him. You get out of my bathroom, dude. Some things I consider private,
Yeah, really. Okay, this is more of a commentary, and I'll just read it anyway. Drake, I don't want Earth humans to lose our vocal cords like you. I love music in all its forms, including vocals and singing. Even certain Dark Cabal singers' songs are beautiful and moving and have spectacular live performances devoid of evil content. If we're to be special, let us be special in that way, too. If creativity is one of our defining attributes, we can't hamstring it by removing vocal cords, singing, and amazing performances. I'm not sure why that thought even came forward, because I don't agree.
Okay, those changes that I'm talking about do not limit music. It does not limit expression, either in art, music, whatever. Okay, what it does is it simply frees you up from having to worry about it, or application, or getting to paint the right color. Now that's fun for an artist to get the right freaking color. You see a board 3 feet by 2 feet, and it starts out a bunch of different colors, and it's mixed up and it changes and it changes, and you finally get down, and that still ain't right. Give me another board. So
It's really our creative geniuses in so many different ways.
Yeah, and there's no reason to limit that. Okay.
Awesome. Okay. I just remembered. I got to ask this question because somebody's asking about Billy Meyer. Is he a legitimate Pleiadian contactee? And was he killed and replaced by a clone? But before we get to that one, I've been asked to ask this last time and I didn't get to it. And that was, people have been told that David Wilcox is a clone. Is that true?
No.
Thank you. There,
And
get your answer out there.
what was that other one that you was talking about?
David Wilcock?
No, the one before that.
Oh, Billy Meyer.
The thing about here's the thing about contactees. All right, very simply, I don't talk about it. Not that I don't remember. They know that I can force my memory and actually remember what I did when I was tooling around the universe with them, so to speak. You don't have to tout that unless you're playing an advertising game. In other words, if it's real and you're telling the truth, people can hear it, not just with their ears, but in their heart. They know it's real. I'm not going to lie to anybody. And I, believe me, ET and I are busy. And by busy, I mean 7 days a week. I go upstairs in a spiritual form, and we go take care of business, whatever that may be. It could be as mundane as, a few days ago, I was taking out the trash. It just, a regular everyday. ET does not defecate as much as we do. So they don't use as much toilet paper. I mean, I'm sure that's some kind of, oh my God, did you hear what he said about toilet paper? Well, whoopee. That just leaves more for us poor folk who have to eat poor food and have to defecate it out so we don't get poisoned to death. I mean, geez.
All right then. Okay.
Well, that's what defecation is. People don't understand that the certain portions of, say, bread, and it don't matter what kind of bread, it's polluted nasty. It's got enough glyphosate to refuse to have anything grow on it. Glyphosate's only one. There's about 15 of them out there. Yeah. The thing about it is that when you defecate, you're pumping all that nasty out of you. That's why it's stinky. Plus, well, you smell the stinky, you start looking around, make sure you don't step in it. I mean, there's all kind of advantages to it. But anyway,
next. Not stinky. Puppy's poop is pretty stinky. But anyway, yeah, glyphosate is, and I don't even touch anything that's not organic bread, and I've kind of given up most cereals.
Doesn't matter. You know why it doesn't matter? It's called overspray. The fields of the organics are generally, and I say generally, near regular crops. So whatever they're spraying on that cornfield over there, you get an overspray on yours. So
I realize that, but it's better, good, better, and best. I mean, you can reduce the amount at least. I mean, I'm not.
And there are GMO. Listen to this very carefully. There are two kinds of GMO. One is natural selection, where you take the very best of the corn and make sure that it cross-pollinates with the other very best of corn, whatever that may be. Okay? It's natural selection, and you're genetically modifying what you're going to end up with. Like it or not, that's what you're doing. Then you have, and this is neat, organic assistance. That's where you take a great organic plant. Sweet corn, it grows kernels big as my fist, okay, and it's so sweet you don't need to cook it. Okay, the interesting thing about it is that it depends on what type, how much, and what direction you modify things in as to whether it's any good or not. The fun and games that the GMOs have created isn't fun. Cows die from it. People die from it. I mean, it just kids go to school and they come home and they're sick with their stomach. Okay, well, that's from the extremely modified foods.
I have to comment here, Drake.
One
of the things about the GMO that they take a gene that is not even the same species and inject it into the genetic material of a plant, for example. They can take a gene and put it into something that would never occur naturally.
What I'm saying, you're talking about the extremism or extremist highest level. I'm talking about doing small things over a period of time. Two things are involved in GMO. One is the modification, whether it's getting the biggest, best sunflower you ever seen in your life or the tastiest tomato. Doesn't matter. What matters is to go along with that, you have to allow the same period of time that it would have taken for that to naturally occur in a plant, also to occur in humans and pets and things of this nature. This is where they're lacking. This is why the natural selection in terms of GMO.
Yeah, I don't consider that GMO.
Well, it's, huh?
I don't consider that GMO when
But it is.
Farmers do natural selection. It's more of a progression, like you say, that actually, because you're going for the better tasting tomato, so to speak.
Yeah. But the thing is, you do it all at once. We're not ready for that.
Yeah.
You eat a bite of tomato and have serious indigestion, then you know that it is too advanced for you. Okay. The truly fully advanced foods, you're going to love this one. The astronauts have been playing with this for years. It comes in a tube. Tube's about that long, it's about 4 inches long, about an inch and a quarter wide. And it is a paste. You take the toothpaste tube off and you go, and you just had a meal. Okay.
Yeah, I know that doesn't sound very appetizing, but it does meet nutritional needs.
But the problem with it is that it does not have a combination of bulk and fiber necessary to make sure that you remain healthy. We're pretty much cave people. Even though we're advanced, we got technology on, we're pretty much cave people. We require a certain amount of fiber and defecation and other things. People who eat nothing but organic, I make the suggestion that to keep their immunity in place and in good working order, go down and get a grease burger and eat that mojammer or something else that is probably not good for you. This allows your immune system to perk up, take notice, and it goes. Your immune system starts lifting weights. Hey, you better not do that again. 2 weeks later, you go down and have another grease burger, and it's going, I'm ready for you this time. And it can fight off the problems that come along with that. Now, one of the main things, and everybody should pay attention to this. A lot of the weed and insect chemicals are being modified to a point where they are ingestible, meaning that we can handle it. Okay, that's first. Number two, none of the animals, and I'm talking about major people, not, think of Tyson Foods. They're pretty big in
I don't trust them any farther than I could throw.
Hold on a minute. They have been changing that. They're contractors. They're subcontractors. The people that raise the chickens are beginning to change the manner in which they do so. One of them is no chemicals. Number two, up here, they don't believe in that. You run around as a veterinarian and you want to shoot everything up, they'll shoot you. They don't put up with that up here. Very absolute minimum. If the cow gets sick, we figure out what it is and give it a shot for that specific thing.
I've worked with a cowboy, okay, who took care of cattle. And when one of them was sick, it was given every antibiotic out there.
He needs to come up here.
And then
he would love it. Free range, grass fed.
Much better.
Chase them around a pasture if you want to, and they will outrun you, including the little calves. They're cute.
They're so cute when they frolic about.
Well, these changes that have been coming about are because people are raising hell about it. You don't want to give you don't want to shoot this cow full of some kind of weird antibiotic that glows in the dark so that they get fat before you take them to market. That up here is a big no-no. What they do is they allow them to pasture for an extra month or two, and they offer feed, and the feed is interesting because it's the type that causes the cattle, pigs, sheep, or whatever, to gain weight. That's it. It's like if you eat the wrong thing, you get fat. Just the same deal.
It's hormones that they would put in the ears that as a way to fatten up the beef. That's one of the things that they've done.
I know.
Nuts and stuff, yeah. And
well, this is natural. This grass has been growing for I don't know, 15 or 20 seasons at least.
Yeah, grass that's better.
It don't get screwed with. You drive around up here and you'll see. You look at a pasture that's been pretty much munched clean by the cows. And you look at it and you got these little tufts all over the place. That's where the cow dumped out the excess, and
cow pies.
they use things like what's called pure 10-10-10. That's a really good fertilizer for general use. It grows grass, corn, and other things, cereal grains, like you would not believe, and it doesn't screw with it.
For the mineral content in the soil, that's been a problem for a long time. You know anything about
it? The problem with mineral content can be addressed in several ways. One of those is fallow. Fallowing a field means that you don't allow it to be grazed or cut or anything. You just let the grass grow. Come along in late summer or first few days of fall and make your cut. Just cut it. Cut it down. Just let it lay and leave it over the winter. Okay. Then you use what's called a compression system for instead of a plow, you use a compression system. It's got little spikes about 2.5 inches long, and it's a big roller. Squishes the shit out of everything, right? You squish it, all right, roll it through this, and if you want to plant something, they call it a furrowing planting adapter. And what it does is it only goes about an inch and a half in the ground and plants the seed. That's it. You don't have to cover it or anything. It just plants it. Now, what's interesting is that the cover plant or grass, whatever, becomes the natural fertilizer for whatever it was you planted. And you continually do that. You harvest. Well, when you're done harvesting, plant a cover crop. Now, there's changing the law or regulations in terms of the FDA to allow insurance for planting a cover crop. Unheard of, but they're doing it, and the reason they're doing it is because it stops. You're gonna love this. Anywhere from 40 to 70% of the loss of water. That's first. Number two, it prevents somewhere in the neighborhood this roll system or crush system, however you want to look at it, prevents something like 90% reduction in the loss of dirt. You've seen farmers out in their field and a big old cloud of dirt behind them. That don't stay where it's at. Well, this causes it to stay where it's at and be healthy all at the same time. So it's going to take some time, and yet we're going to be looking at some interesting developments. When you get a replicator, you're going to need farmers. What are they going to do for a living? I mean, it's going to get fun. Well, maybe they should raise crops that can be fermented, and we have the biggest bumper crop of cabbage on the planet.
I used to live in a town where they grew cabbage, and they also had a sauerkraut factory. And oh my goodness, the smell would be horrible.
I went down and talked to the railroad, and they agreed to lend me 5 of those big old tankers. And they're all clean. Ooh, it's gonna be. I'm gonna make sauerkraut that will elevate the railroad cars right on the track.
The thing that I think happened was, farmers have always been great stewards of the land, and then the corporatocracy took over, and they started dictating to the farmer how they should do it. And that's beginning to change. In essence, more toward the organic application, so that we don't screw up the environment in the process, and we conserve soil, water, and effort. I mean, you don't have to plow. That means you don't need that disc. That means that you can come along as soon as you run that crusher. Just as soon as you run that crusher,
You come right back in a little bitty disc. It's funny. It looks like a toy. It's only about that big around, but a little bit bigger than an angle grinder blade. And the seed dropper runs right behind it, and everybody's happy, especially the farmer when he doesn't have to use herbicides to control weeds because the ground cover took care of that. And the plants are so friggin' healthy that the bugs don't like it.
Yeah. And then didn't they used to plant certain types of plants next to each other that would also help in the controlling of pests and so on?
Yeah. They're working on the essence of marigold because marigold has a tendency to cause most of the bugs that would eat plants not to be really interested about being over there. So the essence of marigold. Gardeners have known that for years. They plant a combination of, I think it's 5 plants in a little hedge around their garden, and they don't have bugs.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? So there's so many different ways that didn't have to be chemically oriented, but we with the corporations that make the chemicals, which are related to the pharmaceutical companies, which are related to the Nazis and so on, it perpetuated a serious problem all around.
Yeah, but it's being attended to. That's what I like.
Why did you say North Korea can continue as a communist nation on one of your recent shows? How can that be? Isn't communism due to be eradicated?
Yes, but it's going to be more or less modified. Our freedoms are also going to be modified. And by this, I mean, in order to participate in the galactic commerce, we have to be able to not be so worried about freedom. Okay? If you have freedom, there's not too many things you can't do. Okay? If under and I'm going to use this term loosely, socialist ideology, you can provide not only for yourself but others, and still, and this is the neat part, still get that little bit of extra that you would make in terms of profit, like you do on your paycheck. Same kind of idea. But first of all, you're going to be doing something you like. Ooh.
It makes a big difference.
Have you ever seen something that you really like and somebody was doing it and they were going nuts? That's 24/7 productivity. Wow, look at them go. Number 2, those who have specific talents in certain specific areas and exercise that are going to get a little extra on their little debit card. Just that simple. You put forth the efforts, you get rewarded. Just similar to what we have now in a different way. It's not going to be cash. No biggie. Maybe you get an extra month off vacation. Think about it. You send your kids off to school and kick back in the easy chair, and just enjoy solitude. Oh, it's like most parents don't care about justice. They just want peace and quiet. Well, think about, days of peace and quiet. Well, maybe you don't like that. Maybe you've gotten so attuned to your kids or the hollering or the chasing or the whatever that you would like to continue working with kids. That's, it's there. Okay.
Good changes coming forward. Hopefully soon.
Yes.
Okay, here's one for you. Is the Bible prophecy of 1,000 years of peace on earth followed by the ultimate war between angels and demons on earth true? And will humans still be here for that?
Let's put it this way. I don't care what the prophecy is or where it comes from. It's not written in stone. That's first to learn that. In short, as a group of innovative entities, be it us or ET or whomever, moves along through time, things change. Nobody likes strife, pain, suffering. I mean, if you really like it, we can get some channel lock pliers and pull out some toenails if you really like suffering. I mean, you know. So if everybody wants to be peaceful, what happens to war? Maybe all those people that are troops or government representatives could be used in a peaceful manner to help rebuild the islands that just got devastated by a hurricane. Hey, man, I can drive nails. Come on, let's build something. Hey, where's the tuba for it? You see a big ship out there? They're coming. You know, it doesn't take a whole lot to be able to see a fairly immediate switchover from the old I got mine, keep your hands off of my stack, Jack. Okay, I'm fine. Go, so get away. Well, instead of that, we're going to have people sharing. Now, what's interesting is that an aircraft carrier, like I told you, they got hospitals and all this other stuff. They can desalinate water. They also have a very efficiently designed kitchen that's huge. Now, you know, you've seen them big old pots, or I don't know if you've ever seen them military pots.
Of course I have. I worked in.
Well, okay. Think about pots full of, you know, stew or something to eat or whatever. I mean, it's not difficult. You feed the people, you take care of the people, you help build them houses. You tell me how grateful they're going to be.
To go from being destructive to being constructive.
Exactly. And you don't have to compete with anybody.
Yeah.
Bingo.
What a concept, eh? Okay. Okay. Drake. I wasn't raised a racist, and I don't feel like I am. But I am not blind to what's going on around me and what is being said about white people in America. I don't hate them for what they are, but I am not happy about what they do and advocate for. How can we battle these lies and not succumb to feelings of bitterness? Now, I could take issue with some of that, but I'll let you do that.
It's easy. It's real easy. What happens when you have opposites, left hand, right hand, you bring them together. There's a lot of common capability between blacks and whites, or Muslims and Christians, or whomever, where you can actually, I got 2 fists. And I can hit pretty hard with either one, but if I put them both together and hit, ooh, if the people, and this scares the crap out of government officials, if the people, all of us, got together and united, oh my goodness, they'd go hide under a toadstool somewhere. I guarantee you they would. You would scare the liver loving out of them. You'd be able to follow them with no problem. There'd be little doopies on the sidewalk where they went like a bird leaves. Hey.
Well, just imagine if everybody would unite and work for if everyone would unite and work for something that's good, you know.
Well, the thing is that the world is too small and the time is too short for people to continue to hate everything. It's not available. Now, you want to make somebody happy, find out what they really like to do, that they have a talent for, and that they would like to be officially employed to do. Ooh. Fun.
Yeah. Okay.
I love my job. I've heard that.
I used to like the work that I did. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But anyway. You talk about Jesus and Satan being in office. You say Muhammad was in office, but I thought he was just a man who was a prophet for Allah. Who is Muhammad, a person or an office? Who is Allah, a person or an office? What about Moses? Was he real, or was that an office too? What about Yahweh? Is that an office or a being? I'm just reading them all off so you can kind of...
Yahoo or Yahweh, however you want to look at him, is an asinine ET.
Thank you.
The ideology is this. They were so ultra powerful in comparison to the poor, totally uneducated shepherd that they scared the crap out of the guy. Real simple. Follow me or die. Well, yeah, yes, sir, boss. You know, how you want me to jump, God? I mean, I give it the best. I mean, I hope it's high enough. Well, that ideology of worship is a big no-no. These people were supposed to bring knowledge, knowledge bringers, similar to the ancients that were contacted by ETs or star people, or however you want to call it. That's what they were supposed to do. Well, certain existences require them to be long term, basically forever kind of thing, or until it is ended. This is where you come into offices. When you understand that most ETs don't go past somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 50,000 years, then you understand where the gods, what happened to the gods from before Egypt existed, or back before the Mesopotamians, or you keep going back in time, and you'll find that one of the original races or groups of people that inhabit our planet presently were the Inuit, better known as Eskimos. And they have a lot of them have a very intricate knowledge of how it all works. Once a person understands that there is a combination of things, if you accept an appointment or accept the position of something in terms of an office, you have to abide by the parameters, the limitations, and what you're supposed to do as that office holder. Whether you like it or not, it makes no difference. Whether somebody else likes that, you just do it. Okay. Muhammad is one of these office holders. Now, that means that there have been more than one of it. Oh, hold up, but the Muslims can go nuts all they want. Well, let's pick on JC. Jesus Christ is an office as well. And it's been held by several people. And Jesus Christ and Muhammad are friends. They know each other. Last I heard, what they were really upset about was the fact that we, collective we, royal we, had decided to worship them. They don't like that. And they're going to come back. Try this now. All of the great kahunas that have ever been around are all going to come back and straighten our podunk little minds out. Hey, dude, we didn't tell you to do that shit. What's wrong with you? Straighten this up. You do it like this. Okay. Think about what would happen if Muhammad come back and told the Muslims to cut the crap. Ooh, really? Okay. Jesus Christ would do the same thing. Buddha, you name it. All of these great entities that we have worshipped or deified or whatever, they're coming back to straighten things out. They don't like what they see.
Yeah, good, because I think their intention was more teaching goodness rather than some of the crap that's come out of every single one of those offices in some manner, shape, or form.
Well, I got a real mind breaker.
What's that?
And most people in the States, irrespective as to their religion, understand that it's God first. Most people understand it if they're a believer. Well, you pull out any of the Western Bibles, it says, in the beginning, God. No. In all the Eastern books, it says, God in the beginning. Now, where do they get off changing that? Oops, that means God's not first anymore. That means the beginning was first. That means they screwed it up.
Mm-hmm. That was all manipulated by dark ETs, I think.
By the church, primarily.
Yeah.
Okay.
In order to advance themselves for their own personal fame and fortune.
Got to keep that collection plate full.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Where do all the false gods and religions brought here by higher beings fall under do no harm? I would say religion has been rather deadly throughout history, to say nothing of having our hearts and minds messed with as it relates to the Creator and spirituality.
Exactly.
I'm the same.
Let me ask you a question while we're on air. Did you get the email with the books?
I
Fulks.
Which email did you send it to? I think I'm not sure if I did or not because I've had a lot going on and I didn't get it.
No.
I know I've had a lot of requests though.
Gail Ross 5555 at gmail.com.
Okay. I will look it up and make sure I have it. And,
Okay.
And so on.
Anyway, you got all 5 of them.
Okay. Like I said, I've had.
I tried to get Dean Chambers to help me post them, and he's having trouble posting them. So I'll find out today, later on, what's up with that, and maybe contact you, see if you can do it.
Okay. Let me see what I can do.
Okay.
I've been inundated, and I think you know about it. So
no, I know you're busy.
Alrighty then. Let's see. Where are we? Hopefully that resolved itself rather quickly. New government you talk about that we'll have in 5D. Will we be running Earth or the Galactics and Universals?
Until we get to the point where we can handle it, we're going to have outside help. They won't be dictatorial about it unless we really cross some dangerous lines. In other words, there's limitations that we shouldn't mess with. We'll have the capability of messing with it, but these are things that we shouldn't mess with until we really know what we're doing. At that point, then it's all turned over to us, and it'll be done so officially.
Okay, well that makes sense. Because basically the question went on about elaborate on the relationship between whoever is running the Earth and the galaxy and the universe. And people, I don't know, just like things need to be done now, people are kind of sitting back and waiting for other people to do it. So,
well, we got a combination of tall grays, tall whites, and there are certain races of insectoids. Those are the 3 main ones that are running the planet. What? You don't expect?
Yeah, no, I know them. I mean, they're not all very
like us, do you? I mean, come on now.
They're not all nice to humans. That's what I'm getting at.
I'm a praying mantis. Hi, how you doing? You want to shake hands?
I like how they can just blend into a tree.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Kent Dunn used to talk about King Pluchacha. When you were on Quantum Shift, Dr. Muzzy used to ask about him too. Does he actually exist?
Yes.
He does. Okay.
Yeah, you might not be able to catch him, find him, or get a good look at him, but he's there. You just gotta. When you're able to get into the empty spaces between densities and domains and stuff, it gets really difficult to say, hey.
So are we still going to transition?
Still in or going to?
Are we going to? Are we still going to transition this year?
That's going to be dependent within the next, month. We'll find out this next month.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's encouraging.
Well, we've got some preparations for that. ET has to make sure that the preparations correlate with what they've got. Then you got to take it and plug it together. It plugs in. It's really it seems convoluted, but it's just that sort of simple. You want the light to come on in a lamp, you plug that mojammer in. Well, in this case, we're plugging in the acceptability of the electricity to flow from 3 to 4. It's kind of like the download in the Matrix. Mm-hmm. She needed to know how to operate a helicopter. Well, hold on a minute. Downloaded. Okay. Off down the road to go. Well, same sort of deal applies here. We have to, oh boy, you remember Beam Me Up Scotty? Transporter? Okay. Think about the transition between 3 and 4 similarly. We're gonna have Scotty beam us from one point to another point. It happens. It is so Lord, it's such a pure thing that happens instantaneously. As fast as you can flip on a light and have the light come on, that's how fast the transition happens. All of a sudden, boom, you're in 4D. Well, what changed? That still works. You know, and there'd be a lot of people going, and it will be known on the internet. It's going to go crazy.
It will be noticeable.
Well, there's going to be some changes for some people. It's going to be very noticeable. For others, not so much, and some not at all. They'll just be standing, just, you know, like you and me. You know, we're doing a show, and all of a sudden, clink. Okay, now what?
You feel different, Drake?
No, not really. I mean, you know, my hair's long, I got a fuzzy face. Yeah, I mean, the main gist of it is this: you will be told that there has been a major change in the basis of everything from 3 to 4. Okay, 4 may take several years in terms of human time in order to learn what we need to know to transition to 5. Now, 5 is neat. The reason it's neat is the bad guys, both here in 3 and in 4, can't get into 5. Ooh. Yeah, you can do that or whatever you want to do. 5 is pristine. Now, everybody talks about heaven and golden streets and all this other happy horse hockey. That's horse hockey, okay? It'd be nice, but it's going to be similar. The walls will still be here, computers still be working. It just will be a difference in our capability to perceive that which we never saw before. Now, martial arts, an adept, and martial arts has one simple rule, primary rule. You don't see with your eyes, you see with your mind. This has been brought out many, many times. And so if you can close your eyes and see a vehicle outside parked, are you looking through the wall? That's the question you got to ask. And if so, then you should see the bird taking a doopy on your windshield. And you go out and look, and the bird has dooping on the freaking windshield. You go, wow, man. That's what books do. They get you to the point where your self-awareness is such that it starts completing itself, and you slowly take the physical and nonsense, and you get them together and go, whew. It's like that little red engine. I think I can. And then you go over the top and I thought it good. You know, it's neat. You love it.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Let's see, where are we at? Will we still have climate-controlled homes and buildings despite the new building materials?
The climate is going to be modified in many ways. One of those is that the materials themselves will act as a climate generator, interior, not exterior, interior. So we won't be screwing with Mother Nature on the outside. We'll be screwing with Mother Nature on the inside. Makes it nice for us. I mean, 70, 72 degrees, somewhere along in there. Humidity around, between 55 and 60%. Etc. So, but the weather control machines, the HARP generators, things of that nature, they're going to be removed. And well, I've been removing a few on my own. I blow them up, but I try to tell people that are there, working there, or whatever, it's time to go. What do you mean? Because that thing will go off. What are you talking about? You so full of, dude, I'm playing with you. And some of them look at the thing and they say, I always was suspicious about that. Come on, Charlie, let's go. They go get in their truck and leave. And then there's usually 1 or 2 dummies that stand around and say, we don't believe that stuff. You're full of whatever. I go, okay, fasten your seat belts. Boom. All I do is overload it. Well, the ones on the ground are easy. I simply overload it, it explodes. The ones on boats, I cause it to overload in such a manner that it melts. And it's sort of like having a reactor go critical. only in a little small space. And this thing just eats a hole right through whatever. No matter what kind of shielding you got.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
You don't want to kill everybody on the ship, right?
Oh, well, if they can swim, they'd be in pretty good shape. They're supposed to be wearing life jackets, and if I would, most military boats have life rafts at the very least, lifeboats in some cases. All of them got float devices, so I would suggest that they probably could make out okay, depending on how hungry the sharks are.
Hey, they're doing their various activities anyway now.
Well, they might see it as a weenie roast. Hey, man, they're ready. Come on.
Okay. Don't ETs have governments on their planets?
They have who?
Governments. ET.
Yeah.
Planets, they have governments, correct or not correct?
Yes. Each planet has after, it takes some time, but after a while, the ideology of what government should be is invoked, and what happens is that that ideology is put in place in such a manner that at first you get a great number of people. That's normal. Okay, that number of people slowly comes down in number. You don't need 5 from each country on our planet, as an example.
Oh, okay.
One, that person expresses the needs of where they're at, what their country should have and doesn't. Okay, the other countries are supposed to help supply that. As this begins to work, then the number of representatives. We got 200 countries. They don't need 200 people at a meeting upstairs. Mm-hmm. So what it boils down to is eventually you end up with say 5. Sometimes 1, depends on who's invited. So they then discuss things, and so you need the advanced technology in this area so that you can accomplish X. Yes, sir. Bingo. Then the council and Galactic Council votes on it as to whether or not it floats, flies, or doesn't work, and they go from there. If it's valid, it's almost assured that it'll be approved. Simple. It's nice. It's wonderful. I love what I've seen.
Awesome. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do ETs trade gold, precious metals, and other valuables like DNA for goods between planets and such? Isn't that like money? Or how will we be a cashless society if even ETs aren't?
Well, if you got a little glob of rare earth metals, you're probably going to get a card that stipulates the value of that, whatever you guys end up agreeing upon. And it gets charged with credits. Now, the credits are interesting. They operate on a combination, local, planetary, and interplanetary basis. We already got interplanetary commerce going on as it is. Part of the secret space program. So, FedEx ain't just gobbling your money up down here.
Yeah, really. Don't we have to be, in order for us to really do any serious space travel, don't we have to be proven to be not so aggressive and think we can go, conquer another planet or something like that? You know what I mean? Are you still there? You're frozen, Drake. What happened? Wow, what's going on here? This is Gail L Guy on Free Range, and we had a minor interruption there thanks to some puppies that unplugged the wall, and we would like to say we will continue this next week with another show.
The dog ate her homework. Don't let her fool you.
And for real.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me on.
And thanks for being on. It's always a pleasure, Drake. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, audience. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.